Hello there, and welcome to another of Andre's Artist Profiles. Now, today would have been the birthday of what I would consider one of the most unique talents out there in the musical world in the past 40 years, and that's Laura Nyro. Okay, now we all know her history. Laura Nyro was a tremendously talented musician, singer-songwriter, who was somewhere between folk, jazz, and R&B. She was occupying the spaces in between them. And on her own, her unique and very scaling vocal gymnastics, as the best I could describe her singing, usually in a very high-pitched range, very expressive, jazzy instrument, vocally, as far as I was concerned, didn't quite bode well with the public. But a lot of her songs, such as Wedding Bell Blues and things like that, became huge hits for the Fifth Dimension. I think Three Dog Night had a hit with one of her songs. And she just became a person whose songs were better known through others, and that bolstered her own career. And she lived essentially off performing and her copyrights, basically. But I only have 3 Laura Nyro albums as it is, but I fully intend to have more and whatever. But these are the Laura Nyro CDs that I have, and there's an issue with one of them, but I'll discuss it a little bit later. It's nothing related to her music. This is Laura Nyro's, actually it's her second album on the Columbia label, Eli and the 13th Confession. This album came out in 1968, and of course, there are songs on here that you all know, like Stone Soul Picnic, Eli. That's the one I think was covered by Three Dog Night. And, there are other songs on here like Lucky, Sweet Blindness, Poverty Train, that are just absolutely brilliant. The scale of her songwriting and the epic nature of her compositions. I mean, you find these things in folk usually, but her stuff transcends really a lot of genres. It's very R&B oriented. Her production was always very R&B. Very clean, very big. But I guess her songwriting was based in the folk tradition, so that's what people usually see. Fantastic album. If you collect modern music of any sort, you should have this. And especially if you love female singer-songwriters, then I don't even know why you're watching this video if you do. You should just go out and get this. Okay, a little plug for Laura Nyro right there. She passed away of cancer in the 1990s. I forget what year. Anyway, this is another album she did, I believe it was in 1970, called Christmas and the Beads of Sweat. This is not a Christmas album. I think most people know that. It's part of her songwriting. This album is a little more somber, and I think a lot of people kind of think this is not one of her best records, but I really love it. Anything Laura Nyro does, I think it's amazing. This album, this is really awful. This is Gonna Take a Miracle, her last album from her first run, which was made in 1971, where she covers old soul and R&B hits. If anybody had a doubt that she had strong R&B influences, this more or less erased it. So I lost the cover to this in moving. It's not lost in a permanent sense, but anyway. LaBelle, the group that did Lady Marmalade, actually are on this. There's Patty in the middle, Nona Hendrix, and of course Sarah Dash. They do a great job singing like gospel soul style background vocals on this one. One of my favorite, probably my favorite Laura Nyro album of all time, and she's done a lot of good ones. So there's my Laura Nyro collection. Just about every woman today who writes and plays on a piano where it has a strong jazz influence owes a great deal to Laura Nyro. She's an iconic figure, and I think that still even today people neglect how vital a talent she really was. So this is my tribute to Laura Nyro. Usually I don't do profiles on artists with this limited amount of stuff in my catalog, but I had to do Laura Nyro because she's just so important musically. So see you next time, everybody.